Right, good evening, and thanks for clicking on to the Monday European Outlook. We certainly had a busy weekend just gone. There was the Tropical Outlook, obviously, back on Saturday, and then last night at 7:30, it was an epic 1 hour and 8 minute live stream. It was good, it was enjoyable, it was good to see everybody, and you can watch that back if you happen to miss it. But today we're going to be looking at the month of October. It is Monthly Outlook Day. It has now been released on markvoganweather.com, so you can go and check that out. There will be a link in the description below today's video for that. But we will actually look through that, and I'm going to go over a few points, which I think is of quite a bit of interest regarding the recent trend in cooler than average. Really, out of the last 4 months, and I'm including September in this, out of the last 4 months, 3 have been below average in terms of temperature, and it looks highly likely that October is going to end up being a below average month as well, which would mean 4 out of 5 months, 4 out of the past 5 months actually have been likely below average if October pans out the way pretty much all the models are suggesting. But this is the latest satellite imagery from Weather Online, showing quite a mess across the majority of the UK and Ireland at this moment in time. We've got that circulation here. I think this might be Hurricane Isaac or the remnants of it. I could be wrong with that. That might be another low. I don't know. I should know, and I should have checked that before doing the video. But nonetheless, quite a nice little curl there at the very edge of your screen. You can see here another nice little curl here up over the Norwegian Sea. That is quite an area of low pressure as well. And then we've got one exiting to the east of the British Isles, but it's provided another very soggy day across many areas of England and Wales. This is the latest radar imagery of Weather Online as well, and you can see here quite a soaking actually. And this is the past 72 hours across the British Isles. So we've had more wet conditions, windy conditions. I'm seeing some footage out of Penzance last evening, and it certainly was quite stormy looking down on the southwest corner of the UK. But you can see here a lack of rainfall across the north, wetter the further south you go over both the UK as well as Ireland. That has been really the theme throughout the majority of the month of September. Looking at current temperatures at the time of recording, which is around 6 p.m, slightly later this evening, trying to get that October outlook released. But you can see here low teens across the north and even down across the south here. We're only at 14 or 15 Celsius for daytime maximums this afternoon here. It was obviously slightly warmer a couple of hours ago. This is the current temperatures across Europe, and we're starting to cool things off, especially up across northern Scandinavia, where we're only hovering just above the freezing mark. Like I said, the low teens across the majority of the UK. We do have still some heat to speak about across central and southern Iberia. Temperatures into the low 30s here, but elsewhere quite widespread teens across the majority of the continent here. We're holding on to some heat across southern areas of Greece as well as parts of Turkey as also. So let's get to the October ideas then. So like I said, this is on markvoganweather.com. You can check that out. It's freely available for you to look at. And let's start things off by saying that September has been a wild month with big swings and significant rain and flood events. Unusually strong, it says string, but it's meant to say strong. Blocking has been the culprit with the with spells of midsummer level warmth and tastes of early winter. While record heat spread across the continent on 2 occasions, we also witnessed 2 waves of early season Arctic air, with the first bringing the coldest early September temperatures for parts of the UK and Ireland since 1986. The Arctic and North Atlantic oscillations have swung from record strong positive in August to record strong and negative in the month of September, and I've given my reasons why I think that's going to be the case. But you notice here that the Arctic oscillation is neutral at the moment, but it's going back negative once again, and the North Atlantic oscillation was attempting to go back towards neutral, but it's trending back negative also here. So that's quite an interesting one actually when you think about this here. So I go on to explain the reasons why I think we've seen this swing from strong positive to strong negative. But this is the month of September. Let's just blow this up slightly. This is the month of September so far. So obviously we end the month today, and I think it's going to be hands down a slightly below average month. Look at France and Iberia as well, below average, quite a bit below average for here also. While Central and Eastern Europe yet again witnessed record heat, it's been another cooler than average month for the UK and Ireland, along with France and Iberia, as I've already said. For the UK and Ireland, September has held a recent cooling trend, with 3 of the past 4 months running below average. Now, the month of August actually was slightly above average across the south and slightly below average across the north. Over the last 120 days, it's looked like this here for the UK. So average to below average across pretty much the board here. Even France is much the same. So it's been a cool spell. And the month of October certainly does look like it's going to end up being similar. So another driver behind the rather extreme September of heat, cold and flood is likely the MJO, strengthening phase 4 and 5, helped by the building of pressure northwards over Europe, while heights lowered over the Mediterranean. Then slight west to east movement back and forward opened the door to Arctic air sweeping initially into the west before pushing east, presenting the extreme rainfall event that was seen over Central and Eastern Europe. A record warm Mediterranean also played a role, along with the level of warmth contained within the atmosphere itself. The MJO has then shifted east from the maritime continent to the west and central Pacific, forcing a shift in the higher latitude blocking. So, obviously, the very strong negative Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation, is also probably having an influence on the reason why the polar vortex within the stratosphere is at record weak levels here. So we've got very powerful blocking over the Ural Mountains, the North Atlantic, and over northern portions of North America. That is propagating energy from troposphere up into the stratosphere and causing the mean zonal winds to slacken to record weak levels. We end September on a cool, soggy side with a strong block over Greenland and low over Scandinavia, providing a northerly flow into the UK, while a strong south displaced jet is driving a train of low pressure to sweep across the southern portions of Ireland and the UK. The second half of September has witnessed quite incredible amounts of rain for the south and central UK. 2 to 3 times the September average has fallen, with some spots witnessing their wettest 24-hour period in history. Oxford and Woburn in Bedfordshire are among the places with records going back over 100 years. I'm talking about Oxford in that one. Even the past 72 hours have been quite wet in the south, largely dry in the north, and that has been the story throughout much of September. There's the latest area of low pressure now exiting, but bringing some very heavy rainfall. And we are going to continue to see more rain over the next 24 hours or so. Some of these totals here off Icon suggesting a further 40-50 millimetres of rainfall in parts of northern England here. So the rains continue, but this is the opening 5 days of October, firmly below average. Rainfall-wise, it's going to be slightly wetter than average across northern England, but drier across the south and across the north. The cool theme likely is to remain through at least the first 2, possibly 3 weeks of October due to the blocking remaining anchored over Greenland, as you can see here. And then even into the 6 to 10 day, there's that block still very strong, plank over Greenland here, negative over Western Europe here. We're going to have that jet continuing to stay farther south. And then even extending all the way out to the 15th, that block remains in place. So that negative NAO-AO pattern is going to maintain itself through the majority of October, I think. So this is the day 6 to 10, and then this is the 11 to 15 of the CFS, continuing to show that below average theme. So despite the MJO continuing its journey eastwards back into the Indian Ocean, that's less favourable, in other words, for cold patterns, but there's often a lag to the previous position. So it's been in cold phases, even though it's been going eastwards. It looks as if the effects of that 7, 8, and 1 is going to linger on through a good chunk of the month of October here, maintaining that blocky. There's also an ongoing record weak polar vortex, which could make October quite a cool month before it strengthens in a few weeks' time. By the time it more than likely becomes stronger than average, this is the strength of the polar vortex and the winds surrounding it. By the time it goes likely stronger than average, we could be well into the month of November by the time the effects start to transfer down into the lower atmosphere. Now, if you look at the lowest portions of the stratosphere, you can actually see a lot of blockiness over the top, then skipping all the way out to 10 days from now. So this is way out to nearly the middle of October. That lower portion of the stratosphere continues to suggest the block across the north here. So in other words, that suggests that this block is going to maintain itself. There's a lot of cross-model backing to support this block continuing all the way through the majority of October. Looks like I'm going to struggle here to get the page. It's going to work for me. There we go. So as the strong blocking within the troposphere is likely to cause, is the likely cause of the weakened and displaced polar vortex within the stratosphere, bottom up portion is causing the slowing of the zonal wind. So we're seeing the energy from that blockiness within the lower portions of the atmosphere propagate into the stratosphere, causing the weakening of the vortex itself. This is the upcoming 30 days of the ECMWF extended. And look at that block right over Greenland. This would be a fantastic pattern if this was the middle of winter. Look at the temperature anomalies here for the next 30 days. This takes out to Tuesday, the 29th of October. The GFS ensemble, the extended, very much in bed with the ECMWF, with that block across the north here, trough over western portions of Europe, and even to an extent eastern and southeastern United States. Looking at the temperature profile here for the next 30 days off the same model, below average. Even the CFSV2, which is normally biased warm, in bed with those other two models as well. So this is quite rare to see the CFSV2 suggesting a below average month. And it's quite soggy looking according to the model as well. So this is the month as a whole, and it's showing colder than average and wetter than average across quite a broad area. And I go on to finish off by saying the tropics will most certainly need watching. Systems lifting north will affect the jet strength, position, etc., etc. A couple of named storms isn't out of the question for the UK as well, especially mid to late month. And based on the model solutions above, even a rare, and listen to this, even a rare early snow event for parts of the UK, given the amount of blocking that we've got over the top here, given the active storm track force to the south, it wouldn't surprise me if we see some sneaky snow event towards the end of October. That is possible. And the verdict, colder and wetter than average across the west, and warmer, drier across the east of Europe. That is what I think for the month of October. So, somewhat short and sweet today. Wanted to try and cut out some of the kind of technical stuff today and just kind of go quickly over the October ideas. Below average is going to be what I think in terms of temperature, wetter than average, and this could continue that overall cool theme that we've had going really since the beginning of summer, with the exceptions of August, obviously. So, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll be back, all being well, tomorrow with more. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye for now.